Hi there, it's Dr. Diane Thompson. So I am doing this video a little different, and it's about my ground cherries. And the reason I'm doing it is I'm kind of forced to do it right now because these ground cherries look like they're trying to die on me. Um, and so I had promised to do a video about them, about growing them indoors. And as it turns out, I'm now forced to do the video sooner than I had planned. So, when I looked online, there weren't really a lot of ground cherry videos growing in hydroponics indoors. There are a few of them. And so there wasn't a lot of information. But I got introduced to ground cherries when I went to Trader Joe's and I saw these bright orange, small fruit. They look like the size of a cherry tomato, like the dwarf cherry tomatoes, and I decided to try it. It's something that I do quite often, and I highly recommend it. When you go to the stores and you see new fruits and vegetables, experiment and go ahead and get them. And so I tried them and looked up the nutritional information, and learned that these were ground cherries. There are different varieties of them. Very high in vitamin C, has a lot of antioxidants, and just a nice flavor. It's a little bit complicated flavor because it's a little tart and a little sweet. And again, because they're different ones, it might taste a little different. So I got the ground cherry, and one of the things I often do as a small gardener is I will take seeds from things that are new and I will try to plant them. Now, as I mentioned, I'm a small gardener. I have a AOP garden system, which is a 60 system hydroponic. So 30 on top, 30 on the bottom. I have over there Aero Garden Bounty, which is a 9 system. I can grow 9 things in it. And then on my patio, I have a green stalk. So I do some container gardening. So I have no backyard. So I garden indoors hydroponically or on my patio. And my goal with that was to grow my own herbs and grow vegetables as well. I wanted to, I like experimenting with vegetables, and I love the idea that I can grow things that I don't put pesticides on. And, especially if I'm making lettuce, I love, love, love having a what I call a live salad bar. So all my lettuce will be growing and I just pick them as I need them. And I know I'm not adding any kind of pesticide. So I feel pretty good about that. So I wanted to increase my intake of fruits and vegetables. And I found that that was a great way to do it. All right. So here, I planted the ground cherry that I got from Trader Joe. It grew and grew on the bottom, really grew very bright green leaves. It looked very healthy, but for 6 months, there was no fruit, no flower. And I started doing research online, and it seemed like everybody was getting fruits and flowers before 6 months. So I gave it a deadline, and at about the 6.5 month, when I got nothing, I decided to transplant them outside. And I transplanted, and it did not survive the transplant because by then the root was so huge. It's usually more difficult to transplant from hydroponics when you have that kind of root. Um, and so I lost it. But I, from my research, I saw that people were growing this on it's Aunt Molly variety. So Aunt Molly's variety I purchased on Amazon for about $3. Doesn't have a lot of good reviews, but it germinated for me. I planted 6 on the system. 4 of them came about. I put 2 outside, 2 inside. One of the ones outside immediately died. The second one grew well and actually died about a week ago when we had that heat wave. Um, it was just in the sun and did not do well. So that one died. Did bear some fruit, but again, did not survive the heat. So this one was doing really well. I was so proud of it, although I said I wouldn't grow it again because, as you can see, it took over the entire upper level of my hydroponic system. This is normally where I have a lot of vegetables, a lot of salads, vegetables. So I'll have, quite a bit of lettuce. I'll grow amaranth, um, red leaf sorrel. I really mix it up a lot, so I can eat these vegetables raw. So by putting this here, and because it spreads so much, it limited what I could grow in terms of the veggies. So I know that I wouldn't grow it again for that reason. If I have a backyard, then sure. But it was doing great. And 3 days ago, I watered it. I water it on the schedule of my AeroGarden because this system is not as smart as the AeroGarden system. So I use the same timer on the AeroGarden. Every time I water there, I will water here, and it's every 14 days. That's when you add your nutrition, and at that time, if we need water, I'll add water. And unfortunately, I 3 days after adding nutrition and water, this is what I woke up to see this morning. Very limp. Normally they're huge and beautiful. And I'm going to show you in a moment. I've counted about 100 um, fruit there right now. Um, Here I have some fruit that I collected. Every day I come out, there's usually 3 or 4 that have fallen off. If you know anything about ground cherries, you know you have to wait until they fall. You don't pick them off, they fall off. But still, even though they fall off, what I've found with these is that I still have to leave them so they can ripen. Um, the ones that I had in um, the ones I purchased before in Trader Joe's were very bright orange. These, even when they're ripened, they're not bright orange. They have like a greenish hue, as you can see. Still, there's some yellow, but not as bright. And these are also smaller, and they're not as delicious. They're mild taste. I love the, like I said, complicated taste of the one that I got from Trader Joe's. So I was a little disappointed in the taste. They're okay. So I wouldn't grow it again because it just took up so much space, um, and limited my greens, which is what's more important to me at this point. But as you can see, lots of fruit. I mean, this right here alone has like 5, 6. I'm going to show you a little bit more. But you know what I think happened? I think when I watered it, I may have caused it to drown. That's one of the things with hydroponic growing. It seems like such a weird thing, but um, although the plant is growing in water, you can't overwater it because the air roots, if you cover the air roots where it breathes, um, it will drown. And I think that's probably what I did because this system is flawed. AO Garden system. I know they won't be happy if I do a review on them. I like some things about it, but the upper portion, you're not able to see how much water you have in it unless you open it up. And because there's so much, um, the because the plant is so much over here, it's hard for me to open the system. And so I poured the water. I think I may have caused drowning. But let me just show you because I think it's trying to die on me, unfortunately. And I may not be able to show you this again. I'll give you the update, but I'm going to show you a little bit more so you see how extensive it is. Let's see. As you can see, it's a pretty extensive plant, and it just kind of, it's all the way across. It's basically took up the entire top of this garden. And as you can see, look, there's so many fruit on it, and it's just so frustrating that this might die because clearly if it dies, I won't be able to pick the fruit. I won't be able to save the fruit. I had to sometimes kind of tie it together because it was so big and massive. Right now it's so limp, so it's clear something has happened. It never looked like this before. Look at all these fruits, so beautiful. And unfortunately, it looks like I'm going to lose it. But one of the things that I've learned in gardening is that, um, there's a season for everything, and you learn and you move on, right? So what I now know is, when I water this in the future, maybe I need to figure out a system that allows me to know how much water is in the top, so this doesn't happen again. So I am at risk of losing this plant. And like I said, I've counted more than 100 fruit. Um, and, it happens sometimes. I wanted to show you because I did promise that I was going to do a video about it and just talk about how things were going. And unfortunately, I'm forced to do the video now because I very likely will lose this plant. All right, take care.